After suffering both battlefield setbacks and diplomatic defeats, Donald Trump now appears to be running out of serious options against Iran. Iran and USA talks have collapsed without a breakthrough, yet Trump still seems afraid of triggering a full-blown war. Trump is now considering restarting military action against Iran, but he is only talking about so-called limited strikes this time, signaling he wants to look tough without stepping into an uncontrollable regional war. The US president appears to be falling back on his old Venezuela-style playbook of pressure and spectacle, after Iran's resistance and the grinding conflict have drained the American war machine.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. At 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil, and that will be very effective.
US President Donald Trump could now resume limited military strikes on Iran after the latest round of talks failed, raising the prospect of a new phase of confrontation even as diplomacy lies in ruins. Trump and his advisors are reportedly studying plans for limited strikes, while also weighing the option of blocking the Strait of Hormuz, combining pinprick attacks with economic strangulation to squeeze Tehran further. These developments were reported by the Wall Street Journal on April 12, citing multiple US officials who described internal debates over how far Trump is really willing to go against Iran. Trump could in theory return to full-fledged bombing campaigns against Iran, but officials quoted in the report said that scenario was less likely, reflecting fears of a spiraling conflict the US cannot easily control. Officials told the Wall Street Journal that a full war could further destabilize an already fragile region, and that the president remains deeply averse to long, open-ended conflicts that could trap US forces for years. According to the Wall Street Journal report, Trump could also seek a temporary maritime blockade on Iran, all while ramping up pressure on US allies to shoulder more of the burden in any escalation. The president could push allies to take responsibility for a prolonged naval escort mission, forcing them to commit ships and manpower to protect tankers while Washington tries to keep its own costs down. However, officials also said Trump remains open to a diplomatic solution, using the threat of force as leverage while still leaving space for a last-minute deal that he can sell as a personal victory. The White House declined to publicly discuss Trump's specific military and diplomatic options, adding to the sense of secrecy and uncertainty over what Washington might do next. US officials warned that any option Trump chooses next will carry major risks, whether it is limited strikes, a wider war, or a naval blockade that could ignite new clashes at sea. The Wall Street Journal reported that relaunching a full-scale war would further drain critical American munitions, stretching already pressured stockpiles and exposing weaknesses in America's ability to sustain prolonged combat. A prolonged conflict would also expose Trump to stronger backlash from voters who are deeply skeptical of endless Middle East wars, threatening both his political standing and his image as a dealmaker. A successful naval blockade could choke Iran's vital oil revenue and tighten the economic noose, but so far Tehran has refused to buckle under intense sanctions and pressure from Washington. Meanwhile, as Trump weighed his options against Iran, the Israeli army quietly prepared for the possibility of war, aligning its own plans with the shifting signals coming out of Washington. The Times of Israel, citing Hebrew media, reported that the IDF is gearing up for a renewed conflict with Iran, ramping up readiness and planning for multiple fronts. These revelations came less than a week after a fragile two-week ceasefire ended, and just hours after Iran-USA talks failed, underscoring how quickly the region is sliding back toward confrontation. On April 12, the IDF chief ordered the army to be at a heightened state of readiness, according to Yet, signaling that Israeli forces must be prepared for sudden escalation at any moment. Channel 12 reported that the IDF is also preparing for the possibility of an Iranian surprise attack on Israel, running scenarios and drills to respond rapidly if Tehran decides to strike first. A senior defense official told Khan that Israel is interested in renewing war against Iran, a stark admission that suggests some in Tel Aviv see another round of conflict as both inevitable and desirable. Israeli military intelligence is reportedly increasing the pace of building up its target bank of sites inside Iran. Priority targets include missile systems, launchers, and the support infrastructure that keeps them supplied and hidden across the country. Officials say this accelerated update is meant to ensure operational flexibility, so strike options can be launched quickly if politicians give the word. The Israeli Air Force is also finalizing strike packages built around long-range capabilities and complex, multi-wave raids. These plans include both pinpoint precision strikes and the option for sustained air operations if a broader conflict with Iran resumes. The United States has announced it will begin a blockade of all maritime traffic to and from Iranian ports starting April 13. This action follows an order from President Donald Trump to ratchet up pressure on Tehran after negotiations between the two sides failed. The blockade will apply to vessels of all nations that are entering or leaving Iranian ports and coastal areas along Iran's shoreline. According to reports, the restrictions will cover shipping routes across the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. However, US officials say transit through the Strait of Hormuz to non-Iranian ports will not be affected and will be allowed to continue. These US moves came as J.D. Vance failed to strike a deal with Iran despite marathon talks in Pakistan, leaving mediators frustrated and Washington searching for new pressure tactics. The US claimed Iran refused to give up its nuclear program, while Tehran hit back hard, blasting what it called Washington's excessive and unrealistic demands that go far beyond any reasonable compromise.
Are happening with regard to the Strait, Hormuz, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. It's been very strong. We have some tremendous numbers released economically on jobs and everything else, and things are going very well. I would say it's holding well. Their military is destroyed. Their whole Navy is underwater, you know that. 158 ships are gone. Their Navy's gone. Most of their mine droppers are gone. We have a lot of people, as you know, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil. And that will be very effective. But what we want to do is we want to, and again, we don't need it. What we notice and what we see and what I think is maybe my idea, maybe not, I don't know. But there are many boats heading toward our country to fill up with oil and then go and take it. So they're not going to go through the Hormuz Strait. And ultimately that'll be corrected. But in the meantime, they're using us. We have more oil because of drill, baby, drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together. So if you look at Russia and Saudi Arabia, two big ones, we have much more oil than they have put together. And what's happening is boats are coming over here, filling up. They don't have to go through the Hormuz.
Can you give us an update, Mr. President, on the two pilots? Are they in recondition? Have you spoken in order, Fancy?
They are in very good shape, and we're very proud of them, the two pilots, yeah.
Said what? Earlier said what about to take that on.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape. And just so you understand, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
How long are you waiting for them to come back for your city too?
Oh, I don't know. I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. Their military is gone. Their missiles are largely depleted. The manufacturing capability for missiles and drones is largely defeated. We've been very nice. We haven't ripped down too many bridges. We did one only because they broke their word. They broke their promise. And remember, their promise was that they were going to open the Hormuz Strait. They didn't do it. They lied.
Do you have other customers right now who are willing?
Yeah, they're coming up and they're helping. Yeah, we have many other countries.
Iran said we'll be buying the oil from the United States. Have you had any talks with the city?
Well, you just have to see. But ships are heading up to our country right now, empty, and they're going to go back filled up with oil.
Why did you attack Hope Leo on pre-social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart, and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Feel better the third country that bond money.
About what?
Would you be okay if a third country agrees to jump the boundary right?
Well, that's a very theoretical question. It's really, I don't want to answer that.
You've been very frustrated with NATO countries. Are you planning up?
Well, they're coming up. They're going to be coming up. But I'm very disappointed in NATO. They didn't do that. They weren't there for us. We pay trillions of dollars for NATO, and they weren't there for us. Remember what I said. NATO was not there. Now they want to come up, but there's no real threat anymore. But NATO was not there for us.
Are you going to punish the country? Is it out?
We'll see what happens. But, you know, we spend trillions of dollars on NATO to help them guard really against Russia. When you think of it, we're guarding against Russia. And I've long thought it was a little ridiculous, but we spend trillions of dollars doing it. And I think that's going to be under very serious examination.